So having gone through a process of elimination in assignment 1, you should now have a realistic option for your work experience placement. And assignment 2 goes through the process that you would go through applying for a job, and you're obviously going to apply for your work experience placement. Here's our unit specification. So the process of looking at job specification and application documents, having a CV, doing an interview, and then eventually preparing for the actual placement itself, setting yourself some aims and objectives that are SMART related so that you can measure how well your placement goes. And the evaluation part is assignment 3, the final assignment of this unit. So this is the preparing for and going into getting ready for your work experience placement. Several assessment criteria, 3 pass criteria and 1 merit. So doing the application process, P2, doing an interview, P3, setting and justifying targets, so these 2 are together for P4 and M2, so merit level. And it's really important that you make this merit level. Sometimes this gets rushed or oversimplified by students and they miss out on the merit grade. So the assignment scenario. Having explored the different providers and sectors of the growing sports industry and refined your research to some specific jobs that interest you with a realistic potential for work satisfaction and career development, you must begin to prepare to take action and apply for the post of your choice. This will inevitably involve completing application forms, a CV, and attending an interview. So the process, we've kind of done the job search. We're now going to do the application form, personal statement and cover letter. You're going to make sure that you've got a fully completed CV, and you're going to go through and have an experience of an interview. Hopefully 2, 1 in college and 1 on your placement. So task 1. Making sure you have a fully up-to-date curriculum vitae, which basically is a summary of facts about you, personal facts, qualification facts, skills facts, and any work history. And it's a really powerful tool in terms of getting you in the door and getting you an interview. This is a really valuable website that you can use to get different formats for CVs, because you might structure your CV in a slightly different way depending on what type of job you're going for. So highly academic places, being a lecturer at a university, the CV for that applicant would look quite different from somebody applying to be a recreational assistant at a leisure centre. So I've given you a template to use. If you prefer to use a different one, I'll leave that up to you. Task 2 involves you doing going through the motions of completing an application form. Again, this is the template that I've provided for you in your assignment brief. It's towards P2 criteria, and it's a little bit of repetition from your CV, but every job will have an application form. So we're going to go through the exact same process as you will have to for whilst applying for a job. There may be a little bit more detail in this particular form though. So again, factual, personal information, qualification, previous work experience, interest that you have, and referees. You've got to put 2 people as nominated referees for you, people who know you well, ideally somebody from your most recent or current job, or possibly somebody from your educational establishment. And these people are people who are going to sing your praises and write wonderful things about you. You often need to get permission to use them before you put them down, by the way. Task 3 involves you writing a personal statement. Now this is actually part of the application form, and a personal statement is an opportunity for you to go into a little bit more detail, between 50 to 200 words, so not pages and pages and pages, but to almost paint a little bit more detail in the picture of you and why you are suited to this specific job. So your CV can be quite generic, but this is an opportunity for you to show them a bit more of your personality in your writing style and what you're writing. We'll obviously learn a little bit more about the contents of that. You can always pause and read this information, but this is in your assignment brief. Task 4 along with the documents that we've talked about already, your application form, your CV, you'd send those off with an application letter, or what we sometimes call a cover letter. And this is basically a simplified, very concise, 3-ish paragraph letter that just says you're interested in the job, a tiny bit about why you'd be well suited, and a sort of final paragraph of appreciation of them looking at you and hoping that you see them at interview. And so 3 paragraphs. 1, why you're writing, what you've got to offer, why you'd be best suited, and then thanks very much and hope to see you soon kind of thing. Here's a sample that you can again pause and have a look at, but I will make sure this is available to you anyway. So, interviews. Really make or break situation for many people. Some people are naturally good in interview. Some people might be very good in a certain job, but might be quite poor at interview, and you just really jeopardize getting that job at all. So it's incredibly important that you practice your interview skills and that you fully prepare before the interview itself. So beforehand, what you can do is begin to anticipate the sort of questions that you might be asked. Jot them down. What does the job description say? What might they ask about? It's quite possible if you've put information in your CV, they'll quiz you about that. So be prepared to give further detail about things you've claimed to have done or got. And just make sure that you go through the job specification and you can match yourself to it. You've got evidence that you are that person, that you can do those skills, that you've got those personal qualities. So what about during the interview then? Because it would be very foolish of you to assume, as I think some people do, that you can rock up to an interview and more or less blag your way through it, talking fiction, making up things. You know, some people think they've got the gift. It tends to not work. So you need to consider these things. Obviously your verbal communication, how articulate you are, what sort of language you use. You don't speak to interviewers in the same way you might talk to your mates, you know, outside in the street. So you have to present yourself verbally in a way that's going to be appealing to them. Obviously being polite, pleases and thank yous are a basic thing. Think about how you intonate your voice if you just talk like this, or if you're really quiet because you're nervous. That's not going to help in terms of you showing your communication skills. So you've got to bear those things in mind. If there's technical language associated with the job you're going for, you should show off that you know that. Non-verbal communication is massive. So how you sit, how you fidget, or what your face is doing. Is it smiling, or if you're really nervous, do you look down the whole time? That's not a good indication of a confident person. You know, if there's more than one people interviewing you, make sure you have eye contact with them, engage with each person individually. Really is powerful. What you wear, so your attire is again very powerful. If you've made the effort to dress up a little bit as appropriate, it could be that some interviews require you to do practicals or, you know, some kind of application, in which case that might not be the case. You have to be all suited and booted, but it often does matter. And finally, it's really valuable to have a few questions up your sleeve to possibly ask your employer. It shows it shows that you're sort of an analytical person and that you're not frightened to ask questions of them. You're there to vet them as much as they're there to vet you. So again, think through what sort of thing might you ask of your employer, and they often ask you at the end, is there anything you want to know? So have something ready to go there. So mock interviews. You will experience a mock interview with one of the senior members of staff at BASVIC, and I will obviously confirm those dates. You need to try to get the most out of this. Do take it seriously. Be prepared. They will quiz you and challenge you, and they will give you feedback. So ideally also you need to arrange an interview with somebody at your placement. So this mock is almost like preparation for the one that you have on your placement. And hopefully both situations will give you some feedback. That will be really helpful for you in terms of reality and going for jobs in your future. Preparing for the interview. Now, I mentioned thinking about what sorts of things might they ask you. So one of the tasks in your assignment brief is here, and it requires you to jot down the questions and also think through the sorts of answers you might give if you were asked those. And again, here, what sorts of things might you ask your interviewer? Why do you want to know that? So that will help hopefully prepare you for the questioning process of your interview. And finally, now I've put this in sort of big and bold visibility, pass and merit. So this is where the merit comes in this assignment. So you've got to describe and justify for merit your aims, objectives and targets for your placement, for the process of your placement. So an aim really is a big overall thing that you're going to try to achieve. So if you want to be a personal trainer in life, that could be your aim. Your short-term targets would be the things that you're going to try to do on your placement to try to take you a step nearer achieving this long-term aim. Now, these things might be personal things, so it might be you're going to work on your verbal communication, and if you're quite quiet, it could be you're going to work on your volume. Or it could be a skills-based target. For example, here, so you're going to try and work on learning one new technique with it from a personal trainer that you observe. Or you're going to find out about what qualifications are needed to become a personal trainer. Or you're going to find out some technical knowledge about training programs, or do some research and explore the progression, find out about the organisation itself. Or how are you going to be more organised? So I'm going to make sure that I arrive 10 minutes early for the time I'm due to be there, because that, again, punctuality is a huge thing in work. So you need to rate one big overall aim, and then state 5 targets, which could be, and ideally is a bit of a range of these types of targets. And for merit, you have to justify them. So if you're going to say, I'm going to try and work on my volume of verbal communication, the justification would be, well, why? Why is that so important if you want to be a personal trainer? And you write your explanation or justification of that there for merit. If you just write, I'm going to work and try and speak louder when I talk to people, that is very much barely pass level. It's purely a description. So it's really important here for merit you add developed justification for your targets. Here's some examples. These obviously are the statements, and these would need to be developed for the merit level stuff. So I'm going to complete work experience to gain experience. I'm going to research the academic requirements for teaching. I'm going to try to gain a level 1 coaching qualification. I'm going to find out about health and safety. And this is basically pass. If you added on to this, because this would be really essential for this reason, that would be merit level explanation. I'm going to find out about health and safety because being a teacher, you have a high level of duty of care for taking care of your subjects or your children, and therefore health and safety procedures are fundamental to their safety. So that's justifying why this target is so important. And remember, SMART targets: smart, measurable, achievable, realistic and time scaled. So roughly how long will these targets take? How will you measure if you've achieved them or not? So this one's pretty easy. You'll gain your level 1 or you won't. That's how you measure your success in that target. So you've got to think through these things for merit. And also, these targets are what you will use to help you evaluate your placement once you've done it for assignment 3. So assignment 3, you'll complete a diary during the placement, and then you've got to write or present an evaluation of your experiences based on whether you achieve these targets or not. So they are pretty important. And just a reminder again, the sorts of targets you could use. Try not to just use one. Knowledge, skills, personal development, qualifications, organisational skills, any extra information that you might think important for your job. And then it wouldn't hurt to get some supporting evidence. Get a report written by them. Ask your supervisor if they'd be so kind as to write a very brief report on you to help you. Or get some photos, because you've got to do a presentation in assignment 3 of your placement.